Good morning, and I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. First, I want to start by just sharing a deep level of gratitude for all of those who were here since last night. For many people who have not even gotten home, not had a chance to see their families, because since last night they were working around the clock to be able to make sure that people were safe and protected, and that we can get things moving again. So to all of our first responders, all of our law enforcement, and that includes the Maryland Department of State Police, or MSP, the County Sheriff's Office, the Westminster Police Department, leaders from the Maryland Department of Transportation, the Maryland Department from Emergency Management, the Maryland Joint Operations Center, everybody who took time to make sure that people were going to be safe and protected. And that also includes all of our locals, the locals from the Emergency Management and Public Works, our elected officials at the municipal, at the county, and at the state levels, members of the cabinet, representatives from BGE who have been just working tirelessly and working in partnership, everyone who raised their hands to help Marylanders in need, and people who rose to this occasion, and they did it without any reservations. People who, when crisis struck, they sprung to action, and people who demonstrated extraordinary courage and coordination and calm. And that includes also our everyday citizens, the people like our bus drivers who were waiting at sight for people as they were able to emerge from their vehicles, who were able to bring them to their homes or just to take them to get something to eat. Things like our local school, who stayed open and provided not just shelter and support, but a meal if people needed it. This is what Maryland does. This is what the pride and the support of Maryland looks like. And what we saw last night and into today was Maryland at its best. A Maryland who works together, a Maryland who comes together as one team and with one mission. And because of that, people, and because of those people, last night lives were saved. There were people who were stuck and stranded in cars who were able to sleep in their own beds last night. And that's because of the work of everybody who moved and our first responders who made it so. And so to all the families that were impacted, I want to thank you for your courage. I want to thank you for your strength. I want to thank you for your trust. And we want to let you know that we are here to support you today and always. This is going to take some time to fix. The damage from last night is significant, and it will take time to make sure that we are getting everything done. But know that we plan on staying coordinated, we plan on staying focused, and know that we are going to get this done. We just had a briefing on the situation here along Maryland Route 140, and also some of the other damage that's been done around the state. And so we are going to continue to remain close with everybody on this going forward. But this morning, I just want to say we're thinking about all Marylanders all throughout the state who are still dealing with the aftermath of the damage of last night. We are continuing to monitor all the effects from the storm all across the state, and we are working around the clock to make sure that our communities are getting everything that they need and everything that they deserve, because the people of this state deserve nothing less. So with that, I want to turn the program over to our Lieutenant Governor, Aruna Miller.
Good morning. In the aftermath of last night's storm, witnessing Carroll County community spring into action has been nothing short of inspiring. The community's response is a shining example of what can be achieved when we work together with empathy and solidarity. And I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who came together, united as one. Maryland is a state where we leave no one behind. When we show that even in the face of adversity, we can rise above, support one another, and rebuild. This is a community that makes Maryland proud. I want to echo Governor Moore in thanking everyone who came together, including our Carroll County commissioners, the council, state representatives, our local 911 dispatchers, to Roberta and Valerie, our first responders at the local and state level, our law enforcement, MSP, and the MDOT team for your swift response and excellent coordination that allowed us to prevent a tragedy last night. To the BG&E team, who despite some of the worst electrical damage our state has seen in years, and 30 utility poles being knocked down, you were able to restore power to almost majority of the Marylanders hours after the storm. To the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, who spent hours comforting impacted families trapped in their vehicles and making sure the scene remained safe. And to the staff at Winters Mill High School, who opened their doors to provide shelter, food, and comfort to those affected. Thank you. The unity and compassion of each of you put into action demonstrates that we are more than just a group of individuals. Rather, we are a collective force capable of overcoming any challenge. And while we know that the cleanup caused by this disaster is far from over, and efforts will continue to restore power, know that the Moore Miller administration has your back, and we are ready to support you in every way. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Colonel Roland Butler, Superintendent of the Maryland Department of State Police. Yesterday morning at 11:30, the Washington Council of Governments hosted a conference call regarding severe weather that was potentially going to impact all across the state of Maryland. It provided the Maryland State Police the opportunity to forward deploy resources and get ahead of this. As you saw, it's about 1,700 hours yesterday. Carroll County became a focal point of these extremely severe storms, causing a lot of damage, especially to electrical poles along Route 140 between Gorsuch Road and Market Street. As a result, there were a total of 34 vehicles that were trapped in the eastbound lanes of Route 140. Troopers from the Maryland State Police Westminster Barrack, along with deputies from the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, responded to the scene to check the welfare of those motorists. Realizing those motorists were trapped and would be there for some time, we made arrangements to provide water, throwing it into the vehicles to sustain them, while BG&E was en route to shut down, de-energize all the lines that were around the area. As a result, it only took 25 minutes once those lines were de-energized to remove those 33 adults and 14 children from the vehicle and get them up to Winters Mill School. There they were able to sit down, recover from the event, and collect themselves. Multiple vehicles sustained damage as a result of the power lines that were down. All of these vehicles still remain on the scene. The Maryland State Police have secured the keys for each and every one of those vehicles, and we're working to reunite the owners with their vehicles. Once the debris has been cleared and the scene has been declared safe by BG&E, we will start that process to get the owners back to their vehicles. At this time, Route 140 will remain closed at Gorsuch Road and Market Street for an extended period of time. The Maryland State Police and the Carroll County Sheriff's Office will continue to work with State Highway Administration and county roads for traffic detours to get people around the scene to where they need to go. Due to the power outage, the Westminster Barrack phone lines are currently out of service. Emergency calls can be made to 443-789-7278. We're truly thankful that no one was injured in this catastrophe. As we work with crews from BG&E to clear the scene, please be patient. We are working efficiently to reunite the owners with their vehicles as well as clear that scene. Again, I want to commend those that responded, all of our emergency responders, our partners at the Maryland Department of Transportation, BG&E, and especially personnel at the Carroll County Emergency Operations Center. They handled an unusual influx of call and did it seamlessly. I think this just highlights the partnerships that exist here in Carroll County. As one of the phrases we use in the state police, in crisis there is opportunity. This gave us the opportunity to highlight the partnership that exists in this county with our public safety partners and the members of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Wiedefeld, Maryland Department of Transportation. First and foremost, our number one priority is always safety of everyone who uses the system, and safety of our employees. I want to thank all of our employees that worked obviously through the night and continue to work. We had 30 closures of roads throughout the state shortly after the storm. We have 13 still remaining, 6 in Carroll County. As we always say, let's be safe. We'll get through this. Be patient, and let's be safe and go home safely. I also want to thank the citizens of Maryland for heeding the warnings very early yesterday. We noticed significant drops in traffic on our highway system and increases on our transit earlier in the day, which I think helped get us through some very difficult times. So thank you.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Russell Strickland. I'm the Secretary of the Maryland Department of Emergency Management. I want to quickly share with you this morning that what happened here last night and will continue through the next several days as the recovery phase takes place is a model within disaster management, crisis management, and consequence management. And the local jurisdiction of Westminster in particular, as well as the county of Carroll, through the leadership of the state, has been absolutely tremendous. It's through these relationships that we build and we constantly plan, train, and exercise so that it comes together in a tier fashion so that the resources you will need in Carroll County, we will seek and find to help you through this particular crisis. And again, that is only really through the true participation and buy-in of senior leadership, to start with the governor, the lieutenant governor, the cabinet secretaries, down to your county administration and the leadership there and your municipalities, that this all comes together. Our Joint Operations Center is constantly monitoring and keeping a list of what is necessary to assist, particularly in Carroll County. We're also monitoring the damage that occurred in other counties, and we'll be working with them through the next few days to make sure they recover well through this crisis. The other point with all of this is a real kudo to BG&E. They were here, the private sector stepped up, and they're going to continue to be with Carroll County as we move through this particular event. I thank you very, very, very much.
To me, it's always difficult to follow such great leadership in some of the comments made. But I am Commissioner Ed Rothstein. I'm President of Board of Commissioners here in Carroll County, representing my colleagues, my other four that worked hard over the last 24 hours, constantly communicating with each other and working very hard communicating with the community itself. I've often said that family is a team sport. It really is, the community is a true team sport. Whether it's, as mentioned, our administrator, emergency services, emergency management, fire, police, the collaboration between our sheriff's department, state police, the municipalities, second to none. And what to really highlight is the private-public partnership. It is just amazing how BG stepped up, worked with us, constantly communicated to the community, and this is where social media actually does a good thing and shares with the community where some of the outages were and where some places not to be at. What also amazes me, whether we say it's the grace of God or just goodwill, no one was seriously hurt on 140. 30 plus vehicles were trapped on 140. Everyone stayed in their vehicles, listened to the guidance and direction from our law enforcement and BGE, and then were removed out of their vehicles to a staging area where our citizen services and social services took action and got the people where they needed to be. So that is just a testament, again, to a true collaboration of community from the state, the county, and all of our municipalities. This storm hit 140, but it didn't just stop there. It hit the northern part all the way down to the southern part of Carroll County, where at the height was about 56,000 outages, household outages, and I think now we're down to about 19,000, and we're going to continue going down as time moves on throughout the day. Thank you so much to our governor, his entire team for being out here and showing the strength of what Maryland's all about. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Greg Pecoraro, President of the Westminster City Council, here on behalf of the mayor and my colleagues. This wasn't how Westminster wanted to show up on the front page of national news organizations, but it does serve to highlight the tremendous connections that we have across the state, from the governor and his team to the county, on through the city of Westminster and our other sister municipalities here in Carroll County to work together to deal with a situation like this. We appreciate the tremendous efforts of all of our first responders from state, county, and city agencies made to try and rescue the folks that needed help and to take care of the many other needs we had. We also particularly appreciate the partnership with BGE who've prioritized public safety and public utilities as they've tried to help us deal with the aftermath of the storm. Governor, your being here symbolizes the connection that all of us have here. Thank you very much for coming.
Good morning. I'm Kareem Kuzami, President and CEO of BGE. Last night, our service territory experienced one of the most devastating storms that we've seen in many, many years. At the height, we had 120,000 customers out of service, 56,000 in Carroll County alone. We are down to about 52,000. We are making good progress. We're going to continue the restoration efforts, but I want to take a moment and thank all of our customers for being patient. We know that when you're without service, it's very disruptive, very frustrating. Know that we are working as safely and quickly as possible to restore your service. We do expect to have 80% of our customers restored by this evening, 90% by tomorrow evening, and we will continue to work until every customer is restored. Know that some of the last restorations will take some time as the damage is extensive, but we will continue to work until every customer is restored, and that may lead into the early part of the weekend. But again, thank you very much to our customers. Thank you to the tremendous team at BGE for working around the clock to try to restore service, as well as the 950 utility workers that we were able to secure from out of state to help us with our restoration efforts. And thank you, of course, to our state, local, and county partnerships. They have been tremendous in helping us coordinate and make sure that we get everyone back in service as quickly as possible. Thank you.
All right, folks, we got time for a few questions. Governor, you took a tour of 140. What was going through your mind as you saw that scene? I mean, think about people on that road at that time, some of the poles smashed into cars. Yeah. What was your impression of seeing that firsthand?
I tell you, when you get a chance to see the type of devastation that we saw, and it's important for people to remember, when that was happening, we're talking, it was dark, it was wet, you're still in the middle of a storm, and now all of that is now happening, where you have a situation of complete chaos, and because of a level of trust that people had with law enforcement, with local officials, with all of our first responders, we saw how people responded, not just by coming together, but responded with calm, which was counter to anything that what you saw when you think about the chaos that this storm has caused. And so I think when you think about that last night, despite having winds and having a storm that I think Kareem said exactly right, that we haven't seen in years, and that walked away with no serious injuries, no casualties. It is both a combination of God's grace, and it's a combination of a lot of hard work that our first responders, that these local elected officials, that state officials, that all these teams did in collaboration and coordination to make sure that people could make it home safely. But this storm was real, and I know we've got work to do to make sure that we are not just doing a cleanup, but also just restoring everything that people are not just accustomed to, but also that they deserve. Yeah, so we're working in collaboration right now with both our local leaders and also state leadership, where we're doing a full assessment and evaluation of all the damage. But we are also very clear that the state stands in partnership with our local jurisdictions in this, and then as we continue to do the assessment, we're going to come back with all the different measures that the state is going to be involved in.
I have a question for BGE. I'm not sure, just some people asking about the timeline. Obviously, live road fires can be really dangerous. Safety is a top priority. Are you able just to explain the timeline of what steps had to be taken to make sure these lines were de-energized, to make sure that people can get out safely?
Absolutely. So this is last night on Route 140, where we had a number of cars that were trapped under power lines. As the governor mentioned, it was dark, it was wet, energized lines were lying on cars. First I want to also commend the individuals that were in the cars for heeding the warnings not to leave their cars, to listen to the first responders, to listen to BGE, to follow the advice to stay in the cars until the lines could be de-energized. de-energizing the lines were complicated by the fact that everything was wet around us. So as you think about electricity in water, that makes it a very, very dangerous situation. Again, we are very fortunate that no one was seriously injured during that time. Once the lines were de-energized, we were able to remove them fairly quickly, about 25 minutes, and people could exit their cars. But again, credit to the first responders that were working with the people in the cars, talking on a continual basis, making sure they had the information and providing updates so they knew what was happening to keep them calm.
I did want to ask about these higher voltage lines. Do we know how much energy was actually running through those lines? Were they more powerful than a standard neighborhood line?
Yeah, so these were a combination of, the poles had 13, 33, and 110 kV lines, so it had the full gamut. Thank you. Yeah, sure. So we are working today to try to remove as much as we can. Again, it will take time. If you see the damage, it is significant. We will get the lines removed, and then it will be with partnerships to get the other debris removed, and then ultimately people can return to their cars.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the Maryland State Police Westminster Barracks does have the keys to those vehicles. We're hoping that once the scene is declared safe, we can simply relocate those vehicles to a lot that's close by. Then we'll work with the owners to unite them with their vehicles. We do have the tag numbers. We will try to reach out to those owners. If they do not hear from us in a timely fashion, please give us a call at the barrack at the number I gave earlier, and we'll reunite them with their vehicle. Okay?
Thank you for everything. Oh, thank you. You've got the direct line to him. So. Well, you know that you can get. Yes. Well, thank you for everything, and it's a pleasure.